This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. Let's talk about David Njoku, because I continue to find David Njoku as one of the most interesting players on this Cleveland Browns roster. Not just because of his level of play, not just because his level of upside, just because of what he kind of represents to the franchise's growth, right? I've pointed this out before. David Njoku is a great example of how the Cleveland Browns are in a much better place than they were 5 to 10, 15 years ago, because David is an example of a player that benefited from being with the Cleveland Browns long term versus was diminished because of their association with the team, right? He kind of demonstrates what this franchise has been the last few years and why they've been much better. David Njoku was on the verge of being a fringe roster player in 2019. And then once Kevin Stefanski comes in with a new coaching staff, with Andrew Berry, there's a new vision on David Njoku, and then all of a sudden his career gets resurrected to the point to where now we're talking about, could David Njoku be the best tight end in all of football? So what I wanted to do today was answer two questions. One, what can David Njoku improve to get better? Very important question to ask. Two, what does a better David Njoku look like? Like, what is that potential? Let's make something that's intangible tangible, right? Let's start with the first question. What can David Njoku improve, right? Because as much as I love to sing the praises of good football players on this channel, I wouldn't be doing justice if all I did was praise football players for being good at football. You got to criticize them. You have to be able to ask questions about what they can get better at, because if you want the team to get better, you want the players to get better. If you want the players to get better, you have to know what they need to get better. You can't see everything through rose-tinted glasses. David Njoku has two definitive areas where he should just be better at. And they're both kind of related, but they're two areas that I find as distinct but related where he needs to be better at. First one, reception percentage. So David Njoku is in the top 3 of tight end targets. He gets enough targets from the Cleveland Browns. But when it comes to tight ends with more than 70 targets, he's also second to last in reception percentage. So of tight ends who are getting thrown the ball a high amount, he's the least reliable outside of Kyle Pitts. That's not an acceptable thing for David Njoku. Now, this isn't all on David Njoku. It does mean two things, though. One, I do think David needs to do a better job of capitalizing his opportunities to catch the football. As much as David has improved in this area, it's still something that pops up. David Njoku doesn't outright drop the ball as much as he used to, so he's not like somebody who's going to show up high in the drop category. But there are plays where David Njoku, a lot of plays where David Njoku has a chance, a real legitimate chance to catch a football where he doesn't come up with it. Those aren't going to be classified as drops, but they're going to feel like drops because you feel like he could have caught that. He didn't come down with it for whatever reason. That happens a lot with David Njoku. If David wants to be the best version of himself, he has to minimize the times that happens. If it sounds like splitting hairs, yes, it's splitting hairs. David Njoku's already a good player. We're talking about what's going to make him great. And in order to find the things that's going to make him go from good to great, you got to split hairs. So again, if you really like a player and you want a player to be the best version of themselves, you have to be willing to criticize them. And this is an area where David Njoku has valid criticisms about himself here. There's also a criticism of the Browns offense, right, that you could throw in here as well. And I think both things are true. David needs to do a better job of capitalizing on these moments, and the Browns need to do a better job of creating these moments for David Njoku to be a little bit more efficient. A lot of David Njoku's targets last year were on sit routes, and while I understand why you would throw a bunch of sit routes to David Njoku, because there's like a 30% chance every time he catches one that he just breaks one off for 40 yards, you can't fall into the habit of only throwing sit routes to David Njoku. And it felt like too many times we didn't have the creativity necessary in order to get the ball to David Njoku in different ways, because it just didn't seem like that was a primary focus of the offensive game plan for whatever reason. I think you need to get a little bit more creative. David was the best yak tight end in all of football last year. The Browns should scrap some of these end arounds that they do and replace them with tunnel screens and other more creative ways to get quick and easy touches to David Njoku. So I do think that's something that the Browns offense can do to help him, and maybe Ken Dorsey comes in and assists with that. But that's something that David Njoku should get more opportunities for in order to help him get better, because his reception percentage is just unacceptable. It's one of the lowest amongst tight ends who get over 70 targets a year. It's not great, not a great number for David Njoku. Another area is contested catches. Now, I will start this off by saying David Njoku's not a bad contested catch guy. He's a 45.5% contested catch guy, which is about middle for all tight ends. He's not great. He's not bad. He's just in the middle. And usually I would have no problem with somebody being average in the area. But have you ever took a look at David Njoku? Like, seriously, does David Njoku look like somebody who should just be average at contested catches? He's 6'4". He has 35 and 1/4 inch arms, which are in the 98th percentile of all athletes to ever play in the NFL. Top 2%. He has 10-inch hands. He has a 133-inch broad jump, which is in, again, the 98th percentile of all athletes that have ever tested to play in the NFL. He also has a 37 and 1/2 inch vertical leap. It's in the 90th percentile. He is an amazing athlete, specifically an amazing athlete in all of the areas that would make you good at contested catches. His celebration after he scores a touchdown is him jumping 1,000,000 feet in the air and spiking a football. This dude should be the best contested catch guy in the NFL. He was literally born with all the tools to be the best contested catch guy in the NFL. He has big hands. He has long arms. He jumps high. He's big. He's strong. He has all the explosion you need. He should be a better contested catch guy than he is. And I think that's on David Njoku, right? When you look at the drops that we'll complain about with David Njoku, the drops that aren't drops, those are usually contested catches. He doesn't come up with them as much as he should. I don't think scheming fixes that. I don't think an offensive coordinator fixes that. I think David has to take it upon himself to get better at contested catches. Now, again, he's not bad at them. He's okay at them. He's not terrible. But he's not somebody that when we get to the red zone, we think, hey, let's just do the thing where we throw David a contested ball and he comes down with it, because he's not been that guy. We want him to be that guy. We hope for him to be that guy, but he hasn't. And for whatever reason, he hasn't. He has to figure out why that's been the case, so it can no longer be the case for David Njoku. But if he gets better at contested catches, if he gets better at reception percentage, I don't think there's much else for him to improve. I think he's a fine pass blocker. I think he's a pretty good run blocker. I think all those other areas of the game, he's tightened up pretty well. So it should be a credit to David Njoku that I can only sit here and think of 2 areas where he really needs to improve. But if he does improve in those 2 areas, this goes to our second question. What does a better David Njoku look like? Who is that guy? Who does that guy comp to? I think If David Njoku improves in these two areas, if he just gets more consistent in these two areas, he will be the best tight end in football. No hyperbole, nothing. If he fits those two areas, if he gets more efficient with his targets, if he comes down with more contested catch and becomes a reliable contested catch guy, there's no tight end that can compete with that skill set. He has the potential to be a better contested catch guy, a better receiving option than like a George Kittle, while being a comparable blocker. He has the potential to be a blocker in a way that other receiving tight ends aren't really capable of. He could be the complete package. And when I look at a comp for that, I think, what if Jimmy Graham could block like George Kittle? If Jimmy Graham could block like George Kittle, that's what David Njoku's potential is. Now, the tricky part about this with David Njoku is that he's not super young anymore, right? He's 28. He's been in the league 7-8 years. He doesn't have a ton of time to hit that potential. It either has to be these next few years or not. Because he'll be a top 5 tight end if he doesn't improve a single thing. But if he improves those two things, he will be one of the best tight ends in the NFL, if not the best tight end in the NFL. And if he has team success that follows that, he could make an argument for him being a fringe Hall of Fame candidate. That's what's on the table for these next few years for David. He was a late bloomer, so maybe his prime is extended because of that. But yeah, when I look at David, I see those two things as areas of improvement. If he gets better at that, the ceiling is the roof for him. And the ceiling is obviously the Hall of Fame. He could play to that level, but we'll see. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you think David Njoku's potential is as high as I think it is? Do you think his potential is lower than that? Or do you think his potential is higher? Let me know in the comment section below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.